You're not pretending, but somehow, you still feel fake. With one person, you're quiet. With another, you're sharp and confident. Somewhere else, you're overly agreeable. And when you're finally alone, you don't know which version was real. You wonder, do I even have a real personality? Or am I just adapting to everyone around me? 2. Problem deep dive. You notice it in small moments. How your voice changes depending on who's listening. How your opinions soften or sharpen automatically. How you rehearse yourself before entering certain rooms. After social situations, you replay everything. Not what they said, but who you were. Too much, too quiet, too flexible? This doesn't just affect conversations, that it affects decisions. You struggle to know what you actually want, because what you want changes based on who's nearby. In relationships, you feel close, but not fully known, because no one has seen all of you at once. And deep down, there's a quiet fear. If I stop adjusting, will people still stay? This pattern isn't random. It has a psychological root. 3. Reframe. You're not broken. Here's the part most people never hear. You didn't lose your identity, you learned to manage it. This pattern isn't a flaw, that it's an adaptation. Your brain didn't ask, who am I? It asked, who do I need to be to stay safe, accepted, and connected? And it learned the answer early. What looks like inconsistency is actually sensitivity. Your nervous system became very good at reading rooms, moods, and expectations. That skill once protected you. The problem isn't that you adapted. The problem is that your brain never learned when to stop. For psychological mechanism, let's slow this down. Your brain is a prediction machine. Its job is to reduce social risk. In early environments, especially where approval was inconsistent, your brain learned a rule. Belonging is conditional. So instead of expressing a fixed identity, you developed a context-based self. Here's a simple model. Think of your personality like water. Water doesn't lack form. It responds to containers. Different glass, different shape, same water. Your brain built multiple containers because it believed that stability came from flexibility. Neurologically, this involves the prefrontal cortex, constantly monitoring social feedback, the amygdala, scanning for rejection signals, and the default mode network, reshaping self-concept based on context. This creates identity fluidity, not because you're lost, but because your brain learned that being fixed was risky. But here's the hidden cost. When identity is always adjusted externally, the internal signal grows quiet. And eventually, you stop knowing which reactions came from you and which came from survival. That's the tension you feel. 5. Practical framework. Reclaiming a stable core. Not by forcing a true self, but by rebuilding internal reference points. We'll move slowly, because your nervous system needs proof, not pressure. Step 1. Identify the trigger, not the trait. What to do? Notice where you change most, not who you become. Is it authority figures, certain friend groups, romantic interest? Why it works. Your brain associates specific contexts with threat or approval. Naming the trigger separates identity from environment. Real-life example, you're confident with friends but shrink around supervisors. That's not who you are. That's a learned authority response. This step creates awareness without self-blame. And awareness loosens the reflex. Step 2. Track what feels effortless. What to do? Pay attention to moments where you don't feel drained after interaction. Not exciting, not impressive, just easy. Why it works. Effortless states indicate lower cognitive load. That's when behavior aligns with internal values rather than external monitoring. Real-life example, you notice you're calmer with people who don't interrupt you. That's data about your nervous system's preferences. Not personality labels, preferences. This is how a stable core begins to emerge. Step 3. Reduce performance, not expression. What to do? Instead of asking, what should I say? Ask, what can I remove? Less explanation, less justification, less tone management. Why it works. Your prefrontal cortex overengages during social performance. Reducing effort lowers self-monitoring and restores authenticity. Real-life example, you stop softening every opinion. You state it once, then let silence exist. Nothing collapses. Your brain learns a new rule. Expression doesn't equal danger. Step 4. Build identity through repetition, not decisions. What to do? Repeat small behaviors that feel aligned consistently. Not dramatic changes, predictable ones. Why it works. Identity stabilizes through neural reinforcement. Repetition strengthens the same pathways regardless of context. Real-life example, you journal honestly every night, even when no one sees it. That honesty becomes familiar, and familiarity becomes identity. Step 5. Tolerate discomfort without self-correction. What to do? When you feel the urge to adjust yourself mid-interaction, pause. Don't fix, don't explain. Let the discomfort pass. Why it works. This retrains the amygdala that you're teaching your brain that misalignment doesn't lead to rejection. Real-life example, you let someone misunderstand you slightly, nothing catastrophic happens. Your nervous system updates its threat map. 6. Integration, one mental model. Here's the model to remember. You don't need to find your identity, you need to stop interrupting it. Your real self isn't loud, it's consistent. It appears when the nervous system feels safe in auto stop scanning. Identity isn't a performance you perfect, it's a signal that stabilizes when conditions allow. The more you reduce external control, the clearer the signal becomes. Not everywhere at once, but over time. 7. Quiet, empowering, close. You were never empty. You were attentive, adaptive, careful. And now you're learning something new. That you don't have to shapeshift or belong. Your identity isn't missing. It's just been waiting for enough quieto speak. And when it does, you'll recognize it not by how impressive it sounds, but by how little effort it to kesto be.